What are you up to, mate? Hey, you coming to eat my garden? What do you got there? Pak choy flower? Is it yummy? Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name's Jodie and today I'm going to be taking you on a garden tour. So this is the second tour that I've done on my channel. The first one was about a month ago, right in the middle of winter here in Brisbane, Australia. And today we're in mid-August, so we're coming towards the start of spring and things have been growing a lot and a lot has changed, so I thought it was time to update you. So let's just start here at the raised bed area and I'll talk you through everything we've got going on. So the raised beds of the vegetable garden are in this top section here. We've got 4 quite tall beds, and then I am planning on putting a arched trellis between these 2, and we already have an arched trellis down between those as well. Then we have the old vegetable garden, which is down that slope, and then right at the back we have the orchard. We also have a couple of other things planted over here. So let's start with bed number 1, this one right here. I've planted these beds out in the square foot gardening design, so each of the beds are being split up into square foot spaces, and then I've planted something in each of them. So this one we've got celery, which is starting to get nice and big, so I'm excited for that to be growing really well. We've got mixed beetroots in this spot. I think they'll start to take off a bit more now that the weather is starting to warm up a little. We have some cos lettuce, a mini cauliflower, which I'm hoping will actually head up before it gets too hot. Fingers crossed. And then we've got a heap more lettuce here. Some of that lettuce I actually dug out of the old garden. They came up as volunteers and they were in the walkway, so I just dug them up and transplanted them into the veggie patch. Nice way to get some pretty well established lettuces. Stoked with it, really. Then we've got 2 Chinese cabbage here that I've actually tied up because I'm attempting to get them to head up a bit quicker. Because as I said, we are starting to lose time in this season for them to do it. So they're heading up. And worst case scenario, I will just harvest them if they start to get too bug damaged as it warms up, and we'll just eat them like that anyway. We've got some radishes in here. These are watermelon radishes, and they are starting to bulb up, which is exciting. We've discovered that we love roasted radishes. Carrots in here, going quite nice, and then a little bit of silver beet. And then in preparation for spring, I have actually started planting a few things for that next season. So these are 2 cucumbers that will grow up the arch trellis when I put it in. In this second bed, we have snow peas growing up the back trellis, which are getting very, very tall, but haven't started flowering yet. Some random onions and leeks that were rescued from the floods that came through our garden earlier in the year. A couple more mini cauliflowers. And then rocket, which I really need to start harvesting because look at these beautiful big leaves. More lettuce. I think these are also, oh no, these are Little Gem. Okay. Some red oak lettuces, which are beautiful, and we have been eating. Oh, and in here we've got a zucchini that has just started. Some more rocket. Another one of these Chinese cabbages, which will hopefully continue to head up. Some more leeks. mixed beetroots. Some added garden decoration thanks to the toddler. And then we have bed number 3 here. Okay, so in bed number 3 we have a red cabbage, which again I'm hoping is going to head up enough before this hot weather really starts to hit. We're due to have like 26 degrees later in the week. A heap of different lettuces all the way down here with a straight neck squash planted here ready for the next season. We've got some Redlands beans, which is a local variety, and they have started to flower, so I'm excited to start getting some beans from those. Another mini cabbage. This one's not looking as good as the other ones. Maybe it doesn't get quite as much sun or something. And then along this trellis we have some sugar snap peas, which have not grown as quickly as the snow peas, so maybe they prefer a bit warmer weather than we have been having. Here we have some striped bush beans, which is also starting to flower. These are a lot smaller though, so hopefully they do okay. We have a really big mini cabbage, not cabbage, sorry, cauliflower, mini cauliflower. So hopefully that one will head up pretty soon. Snow peas along the back, and some of them are getting really tall, all the way up there. No flowers yet though, hopefully soon. We've got a yellow scallop squash, which is looking really happy, and I think might start actually flowering soon. If you look down there, maybe the start of a couple of little flowers. We've got more radish, and I think these are a champion radish. Yes, they are. And then 2 more Chinese cabbage. This one actually has a huntsman spider living in it, which I'm not thrilled about, but hopefully we can get him to move out before we need to eat it. At least as far as pests go, that guy is not going to eat my cabbage. He's just living in it. And then lastly we have some spinach, which has started to produce its little spinach leaves, so we should be able to start picking those soon. And then a couple of cucumbers in here as well. These are the Beet Alpha variety. So I'm really pleased with how these raised garden beds are coming along. We've only had them in since the start of June, which is right at the start of our winter, so we haven't had much time to really get them to produce a lot. But everything seems to be growing really well, so I'm excited to see what we can get. My plan for summer, obviously I'm going to have that trellis that I talked about, is to actually enclose this bed here and the final bed down there in full insect mesh. We suffer from the Queensland fruit fly here, which actually destroys basically all fruit. So anything like tomatoes, capsicums, eggplants, all those sorts of things, the fruit fly will just destroy and we won't get to eat any of it unless we actually cover the fruit. So last year what I did, I will show you down here, is I put individual bags on my tomato like that. But it's a lot of work. So I'm hoping to minimize the amount of bagging that I have to do of the fruit this coming year and put all of my determinate tomatoes that I'm planning on growing into those cages so that I don't have to go through and bag them all. I am going to be growing some indeterminate tomatoes along the trellises, so those unfortunately will have to be individually bagged, but it should reduce the workload a bit. So from this top veggie patch section we go down to this lower original veggie area, which is all in ground, and I've still got some tomatoes growing in here. I think I talked about in the last garden tour how in southeast Queensland where I live, tomatoes are actually often grown during the winter time because they will still produce and you don't suffer from as much of the fruit fly pressure. So I've only had to put these bags on in the last couple of weeks. The problem I'm finding here is we are inland a little from Brisbane, and I think we just get a little bit too cold to actually have them ripen until we get to this point of the winter. So maybe next year I'll have to try and put some sort of cover over them to keep them a little bit warmer. But even still, we've had a lot of tomatoes develop and they are starting to ripen now, which is quite exciting. The amount of fruit that is developing on some of these cherry tomatoes is just amazing. Look at them all. Very excited to see all these develop. Down from the tomato area, I have got all of my winter brassicas. So most of this section here has been bunching broccoli, and we have just been picking so much broccolini from here. It has been such a wonderful blessing. So many meals of this beautiful, beautiful vegetable. Yesterday we started harvesting a couple of these mini cabbages because they are starting to head up and they are getting a little bit more bug damage now that the weather's warming up. We harvested a couple from down there as well. They're about softball size, I guess, so I'm quite pleased with that. Here we have the Swede Patch. We harvested a couple out of there a week ago and had mashed swede for dinner, and it was delicious. Along here we still have quite a few cauliflowers that have not done anything yet. We've harvested 2 purple cauliflowers out of here this week. Had to get them out before the rain damaged them too much. So I'm hoping the rest of these will have enough time to do the same thing and head up. The garlic patch over here is still growing. I don't know if we're going to get anything that's worth using, but it's been a fun experiment. Poor things have had such a hard time with all of the rain. So on this teepee that I put together last year, I have planted out a heap of cucumbers just yesterday actually. So we've got 3 different varieties and I'm hoping we will get quite an early harvest out of them. With a toddler who adores cucumbers, I don't think I can really plant too many, so I have a few cucumber started and I thought I would just throw them in the ground around this old teepee that I made out of some sticks last year. I'll show you what it looks like. This is it here. It's just 3 sticks that I have tied together with some baleen twine at the top and wrapped some wire around. Not the prettiest, but it did a really good job last year of holding the cucumbers. So I'm just going to quickly weed around the bottom of it and then plant in my cucumber starts. I have 3 of the Beet alpha cucumbers, 4 burpless cucumbers and 4 marina cucumbers. I think this one was the one that was an F1 hybrid, so I'd be interested to see how that one goes. Actually, now that I think about it, this one might have been a hybrid as well. I'll have to look up the varieties again. Okay, so down this right hand side of the trellis we have 3 of the Beet alpha cucumbers. Then I've planted 3 of the marina cucumbers along the left hand side, and then along the bottom we've got 4 burpless. Let's see how they grow. There's been a break in the rain, so I thought I would come down and check on my 2 cauliflowers and see how they're doing. Yeah, I'm going to harvest that today. The rain's such a pity. Anyway, Looks like we caught it in time, I think. So I'll go and chop that one off. Really pleased with that. And with the other one that we got, I also got some broccolini again. Lovely. Pull, 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 pull. Wow! Did you get a cabbage? Now we're down in the orchard. So we are in a subtropical environment here, so we can grow a lot of citrus and that sort of thing. We have to be careful about what varieties we choose of things like stone fruits and apples and that, because we don't get enough cold. We do get cold here, but just not long enough in order to get the chill hours that we need for a lot of the varieties. So we have to choose low chill varieties. But we have got a couple in here that are low chill, which is very exciting. I'm hoping we might get fruit in the next couple of years. Out with the citrus. Most of these are still covered to try and protect them from the kangaroo or possum, whatever it was that was attacking them. So this is my lemon tree. I think it's a Eureka lemon. Then we have a orange. Swing around here, we have 2 mandarins. This is the one that got absolutely destroyed. Look at that. But miraculously, all of these plants are actually budding up. And I thought this one was only producing one little bud down here. That one there, but it looks like, I don't know if I can get this to focus, but it looks like there's actually going to be quite a few little buds, which is quite amazing considering the stress that this poor plant must have been under from all of this attack. So hopefully we can get it to recover and produce something. Here we have the Tahitian lime tree. And then over here we have the beautiful nectarine, which has flowered profusely for a tree this big. It's only tiny. And now is producing beautiful green leaves. So we'll see if we get any fruit on it. I don't expect to, considering it is such a small tree, but you never know, maybe we'll get one. Next is the Anna's apple, which is a low chill variety of apple that we can grow here. It's also self-pollinating, so I don't need another apple tree. Weird thing though is, being a deciduous tree, I thought this would have lost its leaves by now. However, it hasn't. So I'm hoping it's okay. Anyone has any experience with this tree, could you let me know? Does it not lose them, or does the new growth like push the old growth out, or is it supposed to have lost its leaves? I would really like to know. Our dwarf macadamia has got lots of new growth, so I'm very excited about that as well. Always nervous the first time, well, the first season after you plant, whether or not they're going to be happy, and it looks like so far this one is happy. A little longan tree, which even though it's tiny, has actually grown quite a bit. So I think this one won't produce for probably 4 or 5 more years, so from what I've read. But that's okay. Kensington Pride mango, which when I bought it, I think it was only about this tall. So it has grown quite a bit in just a couple of months. Again, this is one that I don't expect will produce straight away, but you never know how long before we get some fruit. Oh, the pawpaw tree. The sad, sad pawpaw. Whatever is eating my citrus has also attacked this and the mulberry tree. So it is trying to reshoot. I need to get a cage around it as well. Otherwise it's going to have no hope of doing anything. Here's the mulberry tree. Again, it's trying to leaf out, but it had big, beautiful leaves and then something ate them. You can see all that attacking there. The little fig tree still has some green shoots, but nothing's actually sprouted yet, but I'd say we'll have that sprout in the next couple of weeks. Now 2 banana clumps are actually looking really happy, putting on new leaves, and I think this pup here might actually be new. I'll have to go back and have a look at previous photos and see. Back up the stairs and we have our 4 blueberry plants along the rock wall here. They are all growing quite nicely. See if I can get in here. Yeah. They're all quite little though still. Obviously not going to get fruit this year, but hopefully for next year we will. And then we have our passion fruit vine along this fence here at the top of the stairs, which is getting very big indeed. It just goes and goes and goes all the way to here. Following on from that, if you go down this little path, we have our golden raspberry, which I didn't know. I think in the last tour it hadn't actually done anything and I was a bit worried about it, but it sprouted, so that's very exciting. We'll see how quickly it grows, but again, I'm not expecting any fruit this first season. I'm just happy it's alive. And lastly, we have the 3 elderberry trees, which are all growing beautifully. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tour. It was just a bit of a quick whip around, and I'm hoping that in the next tour in a few weeks' time, we're going to have a lot more exciting things to show you as spring arrives. Well, if you've liked what you've seen, I'd love for you to subscribe as we continue this growing a gardener journey, and I will see you next time. Bye!